Welcome back. This is the Daily Brief. We've changed over our sign language interpreter. We now have Mudhoni Wagaki. Twitter handles at K24TV. The hashtag is the Daily Brief. Like I'd mentioned to you, we're still continuing to speak to former Kiambu Governor, Mr. William Kabogo. And on our hashtag there, JT Madenge says Kabogo did a fantastic job as governor. He had a great team, and this has been confirmed by one of my panelists here, Martin Ndati. Young Half says that looking back in terms of health in Kiambu, Kiambu County was #1 at the time, but now I don't know where it is now on a scale of 1 to 10. Maybe you can rate that. And maybe he's trying to ask you whether you actually keep tabs with whatever is happening at the county right now.
Really, to be honest, I don't.
Okay.
There's a government.
Yeah.
Let them work. Yes, they were elected.
Yeah.
So let them work.
It has been of public knowledge the fact that the governor and the deputy governor haven't seemed to be in agreement. And this is not just a problem unique to Kiambu County. It seems to cut across even in the previous period. What do you think?
Well, even the first time, there were many issues between many governors and their deputies. But in Kiambu, we didn't have that problem. We decided we needed just to work. I kept my deputy busy. I was busy myself, and we had cabinet sittings every week. Probably, if we missed a cabinet weekly, in the 4.5 years, we probably missed 3. We had a cabinet every month, and all decisions that were, policy decisions were not made by the governor himself. They were made in a cabinet. And our minutes are available. They are digital. We also digitized our cabinet meetings. So really, it's a matter of commitment to work.
How did you arrive at picking your deputy at the time?
You remember during campaigns, that's in 2012, people were saying, no, Kabogo is not a professional, Kabogo this, all these things. So I looked around and I found a guy who had a very good CV in terms of private sector and quite an educated fellow. So that's how I got to get him. I talked to him and I said, he was former MD, I think, KBL, MD East Africa Unilever. So I went to him, as somebody I knew for many years, and I said, do you want to join me to develop Kiambu? He said, sure, why not? And that's how I got him.
And this is sort of the similar arrangement that we saw for those.
But if you get somebody who has ambitions of being governor,
yeah,
then he will continue.
Is that what is currently happening right now?
I should imagine so, because Nyora was my competitor then.
Yeah,
he was the candidate for NAC in 2013. So he still has ambitions of being governor. So he will all the time work to probably improving his status to become governor. But the most interesting thing I have seen since I left office was when he appeared on TV as they were fighting. He said, I want to apologize to Kabogo for the bad things we said. That is politics. So that propaganda, he confirms it was just bullshit. But really, I have moved on. I don't know what's happening in Kiambu. The only thing I see in social media is the hashtag. When I was handing over the tools of power, I said I had 2 hashtags. One was hashtag Tujenge Kiambu Pamoja. The other one was hashtag Kabogo, meaning Afadhali Kabogo. It is very popular now. But I do not want to interfere with what is going on in Kiambu. I have moved on.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, just something that I'd like you to react to also is the fact that yesterday we saw Nakuru Governor Lee Kinyanjui appear before the Senate Select Committee. An angered man he was, simply saying that the Senate has been out to simply pin down governors and also just wage a war against governors for their own reasons. Do you agree with him?
Probably partially. But again, as I said earlier, accountability, you cannot run away. You cannot run away. The issue of senators summoning governors was a major issue in the first term of devolution. And when the courts decided they could summon governors as a last resort, what Senate did made it now mandatory to invite governors to answer queries of audit. And I remember, and I'm proud that Kiambu did clear 2 audits. I remember we persistently went to the Senate, and when they didn't have the major, the bullfighter and others who would pin down Kabogo, they would postpone the hearing to another time. And we kept going there to make sure that we are cleared. So really, sometimes they want to use that forum to intimidate governors. But if you really are doing nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about.
Perhaps, do you think, in your opinion, maybe a legislation should be put in place that once you become a senator, then you cannot perhaps declare your interest in running for governor? Because some have said this has been the origin of the troubles.
Well, you've seen now some of the senators, and I'm waiting to say when some of those who are senators and now are governors
appear before Senate.
When will they appear before Senate and now take the other side of the table? Because when I was there one time, I remember I told Senator Boni Halwale, one day you may be sitting where I'm sitting. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. But there are some who did, like Professor Nyang Yong, who was quite reasonable during question time. But it's just a matter of outshining each other. It is supremacy.
So should there be a legislation in this
There
case?
should be, yes.
Okay.
Again, for questions of ministries, you invite CSS and PSS to Parliament. You don't invite the President. Why is it different for counties? Are they opening a forum where maybe people will go to court and say this is discriminatory and the President now should appear before Senate or before Parliament for things that have happened in ministries? Really, there are counting officers even in counties who pen their signatures on expenditure. They should be held accountable first. But if it's a matter of policy, a matter of where a governor has sent a memo to a PS saying, give this person a tender, then he should be held responsible for that.
Okay. Mr. Kabogo, as we finish, perhaps some might argue it's a bit too early, but it is evident that others have begun aligning themselves for 2022. What exactly is your plan? I
said earlier, anyone speaking 2022 now should go for treason. Why is it that Kenya has to speak about elections all the time? Why is it, do we have leaders in Kenya or do we just have politicians? What is the difference between the two? A leader is not a politician. Politicians think always about the next general election. You saw them campaigning even before the president was sworn in. And they have continued to do so.
You're saying campaigns have been going on?
They have been going on since day one.
Okay.
Yes, you can see they're saying now we are targeted because of 2022. Kenya Power and Lightning people are removed because of 2022. I am surprised a person of the status of my friend Keter would come out in public and say that Kenya Power has lost. It's like Zambia, the way they lost the football team in a plane accident. And he says that is a sad day for Kenya. What is he saying? Is he saying that his tribesmen are the only one who can work? Is it okay he's trying to find immunity for them stealing? Surely.
So as we finish, what is Kabogo up to?
Having fun.
Okay. What kind of fun?
Like here, I'm having fun now.
So this is fun
I have a lot
you.
of time, yes.
Okay.
I'm doing business, watching what's happening in public life in terms of politics. I'm happy I'm out here for now. We shall be back.
Do you miss politics? Or are you still
politics is a life thing, so I don't miss it.
Okay.
I'm here now. I can throw a few political punches, go back home and work. But hopefully, I will be part of the next government.
Okay.
Yes,
certainly.
part of the next government that will make sure Kenya moves to the next level.
Certainly wish you all the best. I've been speaking to former Kiambu Governor, Mr. William Kabogo. Now let's follow other developing stories because this has generated a lot of discussion. There are heated exchanges at the ongoing probe into the May 9th Patel Dam tragedy, which left at least 47 people dead. This is after Makueni Senator, that is Mutula Kilonzo Jr., was accused by Governor Lee Kinyanjui of having personal interest in this particular matter and the ongoing onslaught on senators, on governors by the senators. Take a look at how that went down, just in case you missed it yesterday.
It was a session convened to unravel the truth over the cause of the May 9th tragedy that claimed the lives of 47 people. But the session turned into a flurry of accusations and counter-accusations.
But it appears to us, Governor, which is very sad, that the leadership in Nakuru, appears to either from our own impression, both at national and county, want to protect Mr. Perry Mansuk.
Excuse me. I think also we are here in our own rights. You have given me 7 questions. I have barely answered 1. You are quick to make your conclusions. I also want to say we are not so naive. You don't want me to answer. You stop me to give me lectures and give me conclusions. If the Senate has a conclusion to this matter, so be it.
According to the Senate committee chaired by Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr., the Nakuru governor was presenting a report whose contents he was not familiar with.
And the county is not aware of anything.
It is not our responsibility to construct dams.
And more revelations in regard to the licensing of the Patel dams were to come.
So what we're getting from you is 1, you can't remember when you applied to get a dam license.
No, I don't.
And number 2, you have no idea what volume you are licensed to have.
I'm not totally clear on it.
Perry Mansuk Kansagra, the owner of the dam, swore his full allegiance to the people of Solai, saying he has hugely invested in the area for over 3 decades, all for their benefit. The senators, however, seemed to disagree with him, saying since the May 9th tragedy, he had never set foot in Solai.
We have not visited as of yet, ma'am, and we are waiting for clearance from the proper people, the committees which have been constituted, victims, and also the independent committee constituted on the goodwill payment, ma'am.
A payment that has raised a lot of questions, with victims claiming they were forced to sign the indemnity forms.
That can be confirmed, but I want to say that it is not, it's a pole, and we want to leave it at that.
Mansuk's lawyer promised to submit all the necessary documents with the unanswered questions in 48 hours, even as Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i once again failed to show up. 2 months down the line, still no sign of justice for the more than 40 lives claimed by the Solai Dam tragedy and the hundreds others displaced. This despite the many parliamentary committee probes into the matter. Grace Kuria, K24.
Thank you for that, Grace. We shall be reacting to that shortly. But even before I get my panel to react to whatever has been happening within that particular probe, President Uhuru Kenyatta is today presiding over Matters Child Well-Being event by the World Vision. Gloria Milimo joins us live from the Wildlife East Africa headquarters right here in Nairobi. Gloria, what exactly is this about?
Well, thank you very much, Ian. We are here at World Vision headquarters in Karen, where they will be launching the achievements in child well-being. Remember, Ian, when you talk about child well-being, this entails child protection, their health, and matters education, and the president is expected here. He's expected to grace this occasion, and we understand that he will be taken round and be shown some of the projects the organization has engaged in terms of just looking at the welfare of children. And now to give us more details in regards to what we should expect from this function, I'm now joined by World Vision East Africa Vice President just to give us more details in regards to this. Thank you very much, and kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. My name is Stephen Omolo. I'm the Vice President for World Vision International for East Africa region. And we are delighted to be here today to welcome His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya. His Excellency is going to be here to witness the commissioning of the East African Regional Headquarters that you see behind me here. This is a brand new complex that is hosting East Africa region. World Vision is working in East Africa region, looking after 9 countries in the region, and Kenya is one of them. We work with children. The main objective of World Vision is to lift children out of poverty, wherever they are. We are independent, we are neutral and impartial. So we work with children from all backgrounds. But the main work that we do is sponsorship, but also humanitarian and development work. Now, East Africa is complex in terms of context, in terms of conflict in the region, in terms of natural calamities, drought, floods, and in terms of disease. And therefore, the operations that we partake as World Vision covers all these strands and all these various emergencies. So our work is mainly in sponsorship for children, but also in relief and development to support, deliver services to the most in need. But the focus is children. So we are delighted today to receive His Excellency the President, and we'll be showing the President the work that we do, from protection to peace-building processes, to livelihood support, to water and sanitation, to health care. And the bottom line here is, and I think viewers must understand this very clearly, that World Vision is working to support the government in Agenda 4 program. And everything that we do is purely linked to the Agenda 4. And that is why we are delighted to have the President with us here today to showcase the work that we do, and by extension, to support the humanitarian development community in the work that we do.
So, Omolo, when we talk about child protection, what does this mean, and where are we as a country in terms of ensuring that we don't infringe on the rights of children, etc.?
It's a good question. It is a responsibility of each and everyone. You and I, the community, but the most important thing here is that child protection cuts across in areas where children suffer the consequences of conflict. Conflict, I'm not talking about Kenya in this particular case, but in the wider East Africa region. Children bear the brunt. They bear the most brunt in terms of conflict. And therefore, protection of children cuts across. It helps children grow as good adults, but also in terms of healthy children, but education. So really, protection cuts across all strands. But the most important thing for us here is that protection is not only a standalone activity that we partake, but it's just one of the many areas and the sectors that we undertake. So what we want to achieve is to have a comprehensive approach to child protection, not only looking at one aspect, but a holistic approach on how we can lift children out of poverty. So we do that in Kenya, in most places in Kenya. World Vision is present in 33 counties in Kenya. We work hard with stakeholders, with the church, with the government, and with multilaterals and bilateral partners. And therefore, for us as World Vision, we wanted to acknowledge the contribution that we get from the government of Kenya and from all the partners and donors that support us in our pursuits to lift children out of poverty and give them life in all its fullness.
So maybe if you can just tell us, what are some of the challenges that we face as a country in terms of protecting these minors?
In Kenya, we've done quite well. Now, if the question is, have we done as a country everything possible to lift children out of poverty and give them life in all its fullness? Of course, the answer is no. There is a long way to go. And that is why the President coming here today is very important, that we can highlight some of these issues and rally the country and the nation to say, how can we collectively accompany the children in all aspects of protection, in all aspects of education, in all aspects of health and care, so that we can all contribute to children's well-being in this country. The answer to your question directly is that we are not there yet, but I believe very strongly that this government has done so much, and within the Agenda 4 program, we are able to lift children out of poverty in this country. And therefore, together, united as a country, we can lift our children out of poverty and give them life in all its fullness.
As an organization, you also look at matters malnutrition, just getting these children who are suffering from malnutrition. As an organization, what measures have you put in place, and how are you partnering with county governments to eradicate this?
Great question. Because of the devolved system of government today, we work at the county level. World Vision is present at the community level. We accompany the community at all levels of government. And then if we look at the issue of malnutrition, it is everywhere in this country. Even in the urban centers, that is where we have major pockets of malnutrition that we recognize. And so as World Vision, we are working in partnership with the government at the county level as well, but with also many partners, as I mentioned before, to support the issue of malnutrition. Now, malnutrition, you can say, well, is it about food distribution? But we don't believe that food distribution only is an effective way of addressing malnutrition. I think it is a combination of many factors. And for us, we are looking at a holistic approach at how can we work with communities, how can we work with partners, how can we accompany the children. But on the issue of malnutrition, I think the key for us here is that it starts from the infant stage. And that is why we work in partnership with all the different organizations to ensure that children and the issue of malnutrition is addressed in this country. It is present in most countries, in most counties in this country. And that is why it is not only a World Vision affair, but it must be a collective affair for the country. And every single person here must understand that nutrition is a big issue and that we can collectively support to address the issues of malnutrition. But yes, we have a lot of areas in this country where we still have children who are dying as a result of malnutrition. Just recently, we had And this, even today, as I'm speaking to you, we still have pockets in this country where people cannot access food. You know, where people can't afford 2 meals, even 3 meals in a day, and where children go to school hungry, where children cannot access medication, where children cannot get proper clothing and shelter. Now, these are issues, and that's why I did mention that malnutrition must be looked at in a holistic package and not only as a standalone issue that we are trying to address. And World Vision is in the right place to address this.
Well, thank you very much for your time. Ian, just like you've heard it from East Africa World Vision Vice President, the function is ongoing and it's all matters child well-being. So we expect to see positive results from the achievements they will be launching here, and probably expect something positive from the president in regards, in line to his Big Four agenda. And so I'll hand you back to the studio as we wait for the president to arrive here.
Thank you for that, Gloria Milimo. And of course, World Vision's official there has emphasized that their agenda is in line with President Uhuru Kenyatta's 4-point agenda. So she'll keep you up to speed about that. In the meantime, before we take a short commercial break, the fate of Homa Bay Governor Cyprian Awiti is set to be known today following the Court of Appeal ruling on whether to uphold his election or not. So she'll cross over there once that particular ruling is read out. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.